This is everyone. So this week on our persuasive speech, my topic is going to be, should zoos and aquariums still be open? And my purpose of this speech is to persuade my audience to believe that zoos should be opened, should be opened, and to show awareness and to show that these places they need to be open. So, what is the purpose of the zoos and aquariums? The purposes of a zoo and aquarium is to educate people on endangered species, to show awareness, and to help increase the amount of species that have been declining over the past couple of years. For example, rhinos, like white rhinos, they are endangered, and with zoos, they teach you that these animals are endangered and where they're endangered. So they'll have signs that can educate you. They have, say, a gorilla. They have signs in front of their cage, and they'll say where they're from, why they're endangered. For example, poachers. Same thing with elephants and rhinos. They are taken out by poachers. But they do have these signs to tell you what the animal is and what impacts them to be endangered. This is also to show awareness. They have, for example, in an aquarium, they have a touch place, and you can touch certain animals that you wouldn't be able to touch, say, in the wild. For example, like a horseshoe crab, sea anemones, and same thing with zoos. They have camels, they have giraffes that you can feed and touch, or goats that you normally wouldn't have at home, unless you owned a farm. They also have shows. These shows show awareness and how these animals work in the wild, and this gives them enrichment and just to work their brains since they're in captivity. They can't work their brains like they can in the wild, so they'll put shows on for them, and this, while giving enrichment, they are giving education for younger generations and me myself to show awareness that these places show that these animals are endangered and they are increasing the species. The zoo pros, they show awareness, and they have classes. For example, they have classes at schools. They'll bring out smaller mammals, smaller reptiles, and they'll show them to younger kids because those generations will pass it down to their kids. When I was little, they showed us lizards, and they let us hold them, or they brought a kangaroo in, and they showed us these animals and how they felt and how they were endangered and how they were affected by humans. The zoo cons. So if you see recently on the news, they had this panda that wasn't housed correctly, and she wasn't getting the right amount of food, and she did unfortunately pass away. So I believe that this is a con because they don't have the correct nutrients that they need, and they also don't have the proper housing. For example, lions. Lions need a bigger enclosure because if you put 4 lions in one small enclosure, they're gonna lose interest in things, and they're gonna lose interest in enrichment time. And these pandas, you can tell that you can't get bamboo in America very often, so they have to ship it here. Well, it's expensive to ship new things here and to feed animals these things, and zoos just don't have that amount of money at hand. So aquarium pros, they educate people and they show awareness, and they even when they have hands-on things, it brings more interaction with people. People are more likely to come to a zoo and aquarium to touch an animal because you are allowed to touch them where you're not allowed to touch them, say, in the wild. And aquariums, they bring on shows to have the little kids entertained, and while they're entertaining them, they are teaching them that these animals are social animals and how they would work in the wild. So what could we do for change? We can have more donated money, more people to come in, or do sign petitions to help make bigger zoos for the animals. And I do believe that zoos should be open because where are you going to get education other than the internet? And you're really not going to want to get education from the internet, because you're not hands-on. You don't see what they really are in real life where you would in a zoo and an aquarium. You can touch the animal, you can interact with the animal. Like at zoos, when they have their shows, they have a bird show, and you can be sitting out in the audience and they'll send the bird flying across and it can land on you. And they'll sit there and they treat these animals very well. And if you want to learn more about these animals, you could watch a show too. But I've always thought of going to a zoo and an aquarium to be more hands-on, so you're more interactive with it. And for my conclusion, I believe that zoos and aquariums should be open because they have an impact on these endangered species. They are helping these species out, and they are bringing awareness to these species, where if we didn't have zoos and aquarium, where would the awareness be, and what would we do if we didn't have some place to hold these animals to increase their population? If we didn't have it, then there's no way that we could have brought back, let's say, white rhinos. They're getting poached right now. They're increasing their population because of being in zoos, and they're having more babies to increase that. And that is the end of my presentation. So, everyone's still here.